Welcome back to Mixed Media Creations with me, Creative Katie, Karen Burchell. Today we have an art journal collaboration video. Check the description box below for the links to the other collaborators. Don't forget to hit the My Subscribe button and check the option to be notified of upcoming video tutorials. Each month, different members of our group select the challenge. It may be color, it may be theme, it may be focal point, and this month it was Bee's turn, and Bee loves working in altered books. So her challenge to us was to use an altered book and to create a page around an image that was on that book, and to leave some of the words that are there. Now this is indeed a challenge for me. It is not something I typically do. I do have an altered book, but my way of art journaling in this is to pretty much gesso over it and cover the pages. And I'm just flipping through the altered book that I have, and that's what you see. So I thought, okay, I'm going to flip through some of these pages and see if I'm inspired, if there's anything here that I can do that on. And there were a few florals that were somewhat inspirational, but I just didn't know where to go from there. So I kind of hit a dead end with regard to that. But she had opened it up and said, well, you rip out a page from a different book or use a magazine page. And I decided to go through my big blue box of clippings that I have. Now, most of them I've fussy cut, but I did have a few whole pages, and I just kind of pulled them out thinking, okay, am I going to get any inspiration? On this one, I'm thinking, oh, if I white out around this garden gate, and then I can paint whatever in there and use that gate or arch. So I'm starting to get the idea of what I can do. Here I can kind of get out the background and focus on the chair. But nothing was really totally grabbing me. So I was looking through a lot of these bigger sheets. Any of these give you inspiration? Would you know what to do with them? So these are all my options. I like the splash of spring. I like the colors there. And I thought I could take one of these and glue it into my art journal book and start as if it was in an altered book or a magazine. So I chose to use this one, and because my page is actually bigger than this magazine page, I didn't want the sharp cut edges, so I'm just ripping the edges to get some roughness there. I plan to white it all out and build some texture around there. Now my plan right now is to leave the word believe, and it says trust your instincts underneath that. Now I've gessoed this page and it's wet, and I decide to forego using gel medium or Mod Podge to adhere it down, and my gesso was a little bit too dry, so there are places that it didn't quite make contact, so I got wrinkles, but I pushed through. And I'm just putting gesso along the edges because I'm going to colorize all of this. So I'm just kind of gessoing out what I know that I'm not going to want. And after thinking about it, I decide that the two people behind her, I'm going to get rid of them. So I'm going to gesso them out. Now normally what I would do is I would fussy cut the focal image that I want and cut out all the background. With this, you're kind of skipping that step. And if you want to learn more about magazine art journaling, check out Dee Dee Willingham's videos. She does a lot on them where she blocks off and actually makes art journals with magazines and then art journals on them, and uses this process a lot. So making sure this is dry. Now the only color that's on here is that blue. So I'm thinking, I pulled out my blues and they're sitting there. And then I decide, you know what, I want to kind of get rid of that edge so I can kind of fake that this is actually right on my paper. And so I'm using this silicone brush and I'm putting on my flexible modeling paste kind of around the girl's head. At this point, I'm not sure if I'm going to go all the way around or just the top or where. I tend to kind of go do it all over the place instead of just one or two select areas. I'm just kind of flipping it till I see where it's going and what it looks like. So I kind of want all this swirling kind of around this girl's head. She's blindfolded and the word believe. So I got out Artist Loft, and it's a kind of a lime green, and this is light blue permanent, Liquitex Basics. And then I use the Crafter's Workshop, it's a blue, and I'm just blending them together when they're wet. And I like using my fingers for this because it gets right into the nooks and crannies of the modeling paste that I've stenciled on there. Because I'm looking for the blend, what I should have done is to stick to one area, finish that up, and then go on to another area. And I love this lime green. I mean, I bought it, it was on sale, and I bought it because I thought, oh, it might be nice to have, but I don't know if I'm going to use it a lot. But I'm actually loving this color. And putting it with these blues just really works well. So if it starts to get tacky, I'm going to stop and dry the paint, and then I can apply more. If I don't like something, just dry it off and come back with a different color paint. Because it's acrylic paint, you can go on top, but you do have to dry it if you want to do that. Now I decide that I want to white out a little bit more of that magazine sheet, so I'm just applying some gesso there and color. And here I decide I'm going to kind of circle the word. I don't like how the word is attached to the body. So with the magazine or on an altered book, what you do is basically whiting out or cut painting over, putting color, all those things that you don't want to keep, and surround those images and words that you do want to incorporate into your page. And I'm using a brush now because I've got smaller area, but I do go over with my fingers because that just kind of leaves a little bit different texture and it kind of matches what I've done with the rest of the page. I also use some white in there. Now at the end, I think I'm going to crop this picture because this girl, the focal image and the word here, one of the things I discovered at the end is that I don't like how it works. So I would crop it a little closer to the girl to make it fit the page. This page is 9 by 12 and I think it's just too big for the focal image. But you'll see at the end the whole page and then the cropped image. And you can let me know which you like better. Now, one of my favorite tricks is when I've done some stenciling using modeling paste is to go back and stencil with the same colors on the same page. So you have some that's texturized and some that is not texturized. And it just adds a lot of interest. So I'm going back with the same colors that I have before, and then I'm adding this dark blue, Prussian blue. Now I'm using some cut and dry foam here, but you can use a stencil brush if that's what you prefer, or a makeup sponge. Now this stencil is from Deco Art Americana. It is one of my absolute favorite stencils. It works for so many things, and I absolutely love it, and it has been well used, and it's definitely one of those things that when it falls apart, if that ever happens, I would definitely buy something new. Off camera I did try putting on some white swirls, but I didn't like how they looked. And I think I added the dark just to build some contrast. So I just grabbed whatever pieces of paper, and this happened to be a map that was sitting on my desk. I'm just masking off the word and the girl's face, and because the white didn't work to stencil, I'm just adding some white splatters. And just adds one more layer of interest. I'm also kind of saving time, looking for time, because I'm not sure what I want to do next, what else I can do to make this picture pop a little bit more. Loving the background, but so I get out my Stabilo All pencil and I go around it, and there it kind of actually scraped up some of the gesso and the paint. So I end up putting the Stabilo All pencil on my craft mat beside me. I'm not sure if I got this in the frame. And then I'm just kind of going around it to kind of put a shadow around the girl. This would have been a good place to use my float technique with the black acrylic paint, because that would not have scraped off the paint as well. And I get my fine liner and just kind of roughly go around the word. And I like how the word now kind of pops. It looks like a word that I would have added and that wasn't really there from the beginning. And because I love playing with these fine liner bottles, I decide I'm going to do some scribbling all the way around the border. Instead of using this Stabilo All pencil and kind of blackening or shading out the corners, I'm just going to use this. In this bottle, I have just put some black paint, that Liquitex Basics black paint that I've thinned with water. And when I go to use it, I give it a good shake, test it out beforehand, make sure it's still running, and then just go. I'm trying to get used to not being so perfect. Then I decide it needs some black splatters, so I just squirt out some of the black paint that's already in there, thin it down a little bit more, and splatter. And you can see the look on that. Now, because it's me, I need to put some gold on, and I'm just kind of rubbing it where the texture is. Get a little carried away. I'm not sure that necessarily added to it, but it still makes me happy. So as I'm doing that, I get the idea to to make the gold tie in with the picture, to paint the blindfold gold. And to give it a couple coats. And I'm really quite happy with that. It really kind of started to tie it all together. And then the word believe, I decide I'm going to grab my fine liner, and I've got gold paint in this one, and I'm just squeezing out to turn the letters of the word believe gold. So we're just tying it all together, the gold of the blindfold to the gold of the letters to the gold that is highlighting the texture. Despite my reservations in doing this challenge, and just being out of my comfort zone, it took under an hour from start to finish for me to get this page done. Will I try this technique again? I think I will. I have to play with it and explore it. It presents some interesting challenges. So there's the full page right there. But if I crop it a little closer like that, it just seems to work all the better. So I think what I will be doing is when I take this out of my art journal, I will crop it and get closer. Here's some close-up of the lovely textured backgrounds you're going to see in a few minutes. Thanks so much for watching. And again, please check out the other collaborators' videos. Every one of us have a very different style. And that's what I find so very, very exciting about it, because you get a lot of bang for your buck, a lot of variety. And, you know, there may be a technique there that you want to try from one of us or from one from each of us. So bye for now. See you in the next video.